Hello, my friends. It's Friday night here in the UK, and it's the end of your Art Matters week. So, in this video, I'm going to wrap up the week. We're going to reflect on what we've done, and I'll start to talk about putting this all onto a artboard and what Kickstart leads towards. So massive thank you to everyone that's taken part this week. It's been super fun. I am celebrating tonight because I was just saying on a call that I was in today, I nearly didn't run this event. We run it every year, and I'm so glad that I did. But because I'm moving house, and actually this is the only room at the minute that isn't packed, every other room in my house is near enough packed. And it felt crazy to run this whilst I'm juggling moving house at the same time, but did it, survived. And it's been a huge success. And that's all down to all of you taking part and being here. And it's been incredible. And I have to say, I've just been sat reading the messages, and I just feel like we just have obviously we have such a diverse group taking part from around the world, but I just love how I've been looking at everybody's images, and everyone is just so unique and so different, and the way that you've approached this, I'm just looking now at some of the images. It's just so fascinating. I find it really interesting. You should go and look on our page further down and scroll down, or use the hashtag to go and look at some of the posts. It's just really lovely to see how people are approaching this challenge, and yeah, I just find it fascinating, and how people are sharing a bit about themselves and why art matters, and it's super. Gosh, I'm just looking here. Yeah, oh, so lovely. So those who have upgraded the experience, you have unlocked today 4 extra challenges. So if you go into the upgrade site, you will see those 4 extra days, or 4 extra challenges. You don't have to do them over 4 days. But I recommend doing those before you do your artboard. And then there's also a video in the upgrade site explaining how to delve and shelve. I'm going to talk about that in this video as well. But the purpose of this, and why I love this, is that it's a case of gathering, and I've got a mountain on my desk here of papers. I knew I'm half in my pajamas because it's over here, and I was thinking, will I end up getting up? Of course, I'm going to get up, and yeah, it doesn't matter. It's Friday night. I wanted to get comfy. So I've got a pile of stuff here. You might have a pile of stuff like this. And then what I love to do towards the end of gathering and making these connections and playing and pulling out images that you're drawn to and recreating things in different ways. That's what we've been doing. What I then tend to do is go through all of this, and I also spend a bit of time going through past artworks. I lay my artworks out in front of me. I go back through my phone looking at images that I've taken. It's kind of a gathering exercise. Now, you don't have to do it as full on as this. Someone else was saying, who was it? It was Karen, I think, that was saying that Karen went back through all of her old emails to see who she'd signed up with and who inspires her still, and was taking inspiration from that. And that's what I tend to do. I go back through my old sketchbook. So my sketchbook is around here somewhere. Where's that gone? I've got stuff everywhere. I've got a little square sketchbook, and I just flick back through that. It's gone. And I'm looking, and I'm just kind of in this select and reject stage now. It's what happens if you're new to this. Sometimes you just look at all this and think, how can I start selecting from all of this? But something incredible starts to happen when you do this over a period of time as well. Now, I look back at my boards that I've done over the years, and every time I do this, I'm learning more and more and more about myself and my art and past art, and like, it's crazy actually. And so I start to go through this and just pull things out that I definitely really like the look of, and things that I want to explore more. And I guess the way I'm thinking about this is possibly like in the next 90 days or 6 months, this is what I want to explore. This is what I want to experiment with. And it's this kind of then selecting what I want and shelving what others. And this is the shelve pile. But there's some lovely stuff in here. It doesn't mean that I can't go back to this. It just means that right now on my board, I'm going to get focused and refine this down so I can create a piece going forwards that takes a few elements that I've been attracted to over the last few weeks, months, or years. And so this is the shelve, which I will literally put on a shelf and hide away for now. And then what I've been doing is going back over old artworks, and that was one of the tasks this week, was looking at that artwork and deciding why you like it, you know, really taking that time to see your mark making, or see the way that you've sculpted something, or really notice the colors, asking yourself if you like something, why am I drawn to this? So I was doing this exercise today when I think this was day 3 or day 4, I can't quite remember, but I found a Henry Moore drawing actually. So it's an image of one of his drawings. And I was doing this, we had a studio session earlier. I just absolutely love that drawing there. And so I started to recreate that in 3 different ways, but really looking first of all at like how Henry Moore had approached that, and I imitated his marks and the way he'd drawn it. And oh my gosh, I learned so much from just observing that piece in detail. And I'm covered in charcoal, that's good. And I recommend doing this, you know, if you don't already, but it's especially somebody else's drawing, dissecting it, because I can look at that and think, I really like that. When you start to really, really see and replicate something, you really start to notice the shape and where they intersect, and you know, the contrast. And I started to see more and more and more in that tiny little image that I've looked at so many times. I saw it in a completely different way today, and especially having redone it in 3 different ways, I really zoomed in on a section and abstracted it there. And there was, yeah, it really taught me a lot. And I have taken, this is a great example of then looking at pieces. And I really like this from far back, especially that one. And now I'm starting to dissect that a little bit and ask myself, why do I like that one? It's that mark making. I love the cross hatching and I love the energy of that one. So I'm starting to select now, and I'm starting to think, you know, in the future piece, I want to inject that. That's what I want to inject in my work. So all of this play and noticing is then you learning what you want to carry forwards. And this is where, as an artist, you start to inject yourself into the artwork. This is where your work becomes really unique. It's you. And this is where, you know, it's really, really exciting. So again, you know, just taking your previous works, and like sometimes we'll make a piece and we just don't like it, or we just disregard it. But there's so much to learn from every mark that we make. And it's not kind of like over analyzing to the point your head hurts. It's asking, why do I like that? Or why does that work? You know, sometimes if you think that's really worked, why? And it's making notes of those so that you can do more of that if that's what you like. And then This is what I've been working on this for a while now, but this is my board 2023. I get so excited about these boards because I've got a history of them. And there are some images on here that I've carried forward, but this is a big move on for me because mine's always been two-dimensional before. Excuse me. And this year I'm going to be doing three-dimensional. So I've been looking, and it's so bizarre because I was doing these Zentangles, and I was saying in the studio session earlier, I was doing them because I was at a point where I didn't know what art to make, and I was feeling a little bit burnt out and stressed out too. And a member of ours came in and did a demo on this, and I kind of just did it just for fun. And I did these over a series of weeks. I did loads of them in my sketchbook. And they didn't really feel related to anything because I was following along somebody else's tutorial. So I was literally just doing them in the studio session just to relax. And at that time, I remember thinking, these are nothing like what I would usually do at all. And so it's really funny now to see them, to see these entangles on my board, because you can actually see, you know, the shapes and everything. And these images are quite, this one's old. This one's like, this has been carried over for about 5 years now, this one. But you can, it's just like fascinating to me to see these shapes. They've always been there. And what I guess I'm trying to say is sometimes we can see things as just being so separate from each other. Like this is that. When we start to pull these boards together, we start to actually see the relationships between things. I am now seeing on here, it looks like it's all pulled together, but this is literally years of different things that I have felt are so different. And now I see them all on a board together and I'm like, they're not different. They're all sitting together. There's these shapes that keep recurring, that are coming through in different ways, which I've never seen before until I put them all together like this. And I even pulled this little image out of my sketchbook. That was the one that I did a while ago. I ended up doing like I pulled this one out not long ago, and I really love these spirals. And I thought that was new for me. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this spiral. And like, I've been doing them for ages. Maybe it's just me. I don't make these connections. But this is what we're starting to work towards now. Now, your board, I've put mine onto a canvas. It doesn't have to be on a canvas. I'm doing it because I want to transport it. I'm going to be moving to a studio with my friend Sharon. So I want to be able to move this around because I'm going to be making art in different places. You might want to just have a couple of images. You know, I've gone a bit crazy here with my board. But this now is like setting the next steps for me in terms of what I'm going to be making. And so this has come from doing the Kickstart, going through my old sketchbooks, going through old photographs, noticing, paying attention, listening to myself, looking at images, using my intuition, laying them out and being drawn, looking for connections, thinking, oh my gosh, this goes together. And then I have this now together, which are my next steps. And I've even written down my next steps here on this post-it note. So from this, I mean, this is I'm doing it this way because I'm going to be making art on a Friday. I've got very, very limited time. So I want to know what I'm going to be doing. I want to walk through the studio door and I want to get down to work, and I don't want to be doing any of this. I want to go in with my board and go, right, let's do this piece. So that's just me, and that's the way I am at the moment. Of course, you have to find your own way. You might not like how prescribed this is. And of course, these are starting points because being an artist is all about, you know, going on the journey and seeing where it takes you. You know, this might be my starting point that could go in a completely different direction, that's how it's so exciting and why it's so exciting. So I've written on a post-it note here the actual pieces that I am going to create next and the images that I'm going to use for the inspiration for those. So I'm going to do some sculptures. 3 of them are going to be inspired by the images here, down here. One of them I'm going to be using this theme up here, which is when two become one. I'm interested in that. It's like there's, you know, these bodies here that are intertwined. To me, they start to look like the landscape. And so I'm really interested in that. And so I'm going to have a go at a sculpture in that way, using those images. And then one, I'm just going to do free flowing. I'm not going to, you know, for me, I think these practice pieces, looking at these images as inspiration, is a way then of me learning, because I'm using a new material, soapstone, and it's about me growing that new language in my brain. So when I sit with that stone, I'm going to sit and replicate these shapes to begin with. And then when I've created a shape that I like and you feel it, you're like, I want to create one of those again. And it's almost like you're creating that bank in your mind of marks, shapes, the way you replicate something over and over that you like. That's you creating your own language, your own art language. And so I will start with replicating shapes that other people have done, and then it will then go into my own free-flowing one, which incorporates all of this. Does that make sense? And then I still want to have a go at painting as well. So I've just written down a few bits on here that I'm going to be painting. I want to do one of these massive scale that I've just got on the go all the time, my Zentangle. And I used to think that this was just a waste of time. And now I see how important this is, like these shapes and the fluidity and the movement of this, and for my brain, and how important that is to have on going alongside all of this. And yeah, I want to paint. So I've been trying to paint something like I've got this image that keeps cropping up all the time. And I think I'm going to have a go at creating it as a sculpture, but I'm going to have a go at painting it as well. And so another little thing that I just want to show you on here is this bit at the top was my word imprint. So 2 kickstarts ago, 2 years ago, when I was doing this process, what I realized through sitting with Sharon on one of the live videos was that I am really fascinated with imprint. And it actually came from looking through one of the sketchbooks. And what I love is when I've been working in a sketchbook, I actually prefer the other side of the page. I'm going to see if I can share an example of this. Let me see. Oh, I don't know where. That one here. I can show you or not. This is a little bit of an example. So I kind of did that drawing, but I actually prefer that which has been the imprint of the charcoal on that other side. That to me is more interesting. And then what I was noticing was I was preferring when I was doing a drawing, I was preferring the other side of the page. And it was in that moment, and I said I prefer the other side of the pages. I can't see any other examples in here. I think they're in my other sketchbook. That Sharon said, oh, it's like you're interested in imprint. And she said that word, and I was like, Anyway, the next day, it was like that word had opened up the floodgates to me connecting my whole life's work. And I remember at uni, years ago when I was creating, I used to create big massive pieces on canvas, but I used to do it with inks and then lye fabric on top so it would dry, and then I'd wait for it to dry and peel it off so that the fabric left an imprint. And then I remember one year on one of my boards, have I got it here? No. One of my boards from about 3-4 years ago had this image, and it was a building with graffiti on it. And it wasn't very nice graffiti, you know, it was a bit, it was just like blue writing. It didn't even look that nice. But for some reason, I picked, when I was doing one of these sessions, I picked that image out of all these beautiful images and I stuck it on my board. And in that moment, I actually didn't realize or understand why I was putting it on the board. It just felt like it had to be on there. And that image troubled me for a long time because I was like, why have you made it onto my board? And I was just intrigued by it. And it wasn't until Sharon said the word imprint, and then I realized, oh my gosh, it's because I am fascinated with the imprint and graffiti. There's an imprint that's been left behind from someone else. And when I used to go and drop my children off at nursery, on the way in, every day we passed this wall where ivy had been removed off this big, huge wall, and it had left the ivy trail stained. And every day, near enough, I would take a photograph of that wall because now I get it. I never used to understand that, and it's because I've got this fascination with imprint. But it's taken me 20 odd years to realize that. So anyway, going back to my board. So this bit here, if you've got a word that's cropped up for you during Kickstart, it's nice to sometimes delve into that a little bit deeper. So I Googled that word imprint, and I just made some references because I think that these phrases like a lasting effect, impression on a surface, to retain something, engrave, I wrote down words here because what I wanted to do then was delve into this a little bit more. So I was thinking, how can I incorporate this more into my art? And I wrote down engrave, deboss, etch, impress, print, punch, stamp, books, to fix an event or an experience. So these now words are just kind of starting points for me. So if I feel lost and I want to, if I just don't know what direction to go in, I can just go to this board and pick something off this that just is my starting point. So this is the great thing about this board that you pull together. It becomes an amazing starting point, but then you can start to pull different parts of art making together into one piece. So I might think I'll take this sculpture idea here, but maybe we're going to start to bring in these shapes and maybe these colors. And that's when you start to inject your personality, your self into your art through all these different sources of inspiration. And what I find exciting about this is I've just been looking at people's images and sources of inspiration this week, and it's so incredible how everyone is just so different, and we see different things and we approach this exercise in completely different ways. And even though some of us might be related or inspired, by organic, the way that the images that we collate and the way we see it is completely different. I just find that it's just that's what it's all about. So this corner here, I have also hidden some bits. So if you lift this up, there are some bits that I kind of don't feel ready to delve into yet, but I was like, but I don't know. So I just hid them underneath there. And so what you can do then is be fluid with this board and take things off. And like I say, it doesn't have to be on a fixed board like this. It can be, Sharon's just got pictures all over her door inside her pottery. I know some people will just have a couple of pictures on their phone to direct them. It doesn't have to be printed. It can be digital. This is kind of like your gateway, your direction, your vision for your art. So create it in whatever way suits you. And I would love to see pictures of your boards and the different ways that you do them. And if you don't know what to, delve and shelve, just the more you do this, you will learn discernment and how to make connections. So I've started to ask myself today, there's some painting that I wanted to do, and I've just realized, I can't do everything. And if I try and do all of that, then I'm not going to get anywhere. So I'm going to start with these sculptures. And so I know now my next steps and what's going to inspire those. And I know that everything else related to all the painting and everything else that I wanted to do is in that pile there. And I can do that when I'm ready. So it's a practice now of saying yes, no. And what you're saying no to is not forever. It's just, right, not now, not this week, not today, not right this minute. Let's park you and put you on a shelf. Okay, so let me just go to the chat. Hello. So good to see you here. Let me know, those who are tuning in, what has been your one takeaway from Kickstart Your Art and Your Art Matters? We've had amazing talks. We've really seen each other's artwork on social. Let me know if you're tuning in. What has been your one takeaway from this event? What has been the one thing that maybe you did that you thought, wow, I can't believe that came out of this? I was so touched when I was reading the comments earlier, and I don't think I've got the names up now, but there was people who messaged to say that they haven't made art in, someone was like months and someone was years, and this has kickstarted them. And I just think, oh my gosh, that's why I do this. It's incredible. Simone was saying here, Simone's been a member for ages and put, I'm really enjoying Kickstart, even though I've been a member of United Art Space for 3 years. I've never done this particular workshop. It's helping me so much. I feel lighter, and it's beautiful to approach my art with a beginner's mind, even though I've had a steady practice for more than 30 years. And that shows, Sharon's the same. Sharon's had a practice now for probably a similar time frame, and returns back to this time and time again, to go back to the foundations and play and reconnecting, and how important that is. So thank you for sharing that, Simone. Okay, so let me just check, because there were some things that I needed to announce. So, oh yeah, the magazine. So we have a magazine that's literally in development. It's nearly finished. So the plan is to release the magazine on the 1st of May. So you'll all get a copy of that, a digital copy of the magazine that'll be coming. So that's exciting, because there are some people who've taken part in this event that will be featured in that magazine as well. And then we've got another event starting on the 16th of May. And that's a 3-day event for those who would like to start learning how to sell their art. So it's this Start Selling Your Art workshop. I usually do workshops multiple times a year. They tend to be around making or selling. And we usually do a big one in September, which is the Make Art Your Living. And this one is a bit of a smaller one over a shorter time frame. So I'm excited to bring that workshop to you. That again, it's going to be like this, where people can take part from around the world, and it'll be really introducing you to those steps around selling. So perfect for people who have never sold before, people who have sold and maybe want to learn how to sell more, and those who have been trying to sell and don't feel like they're getting anywhere. So that's who that workshop is aimed at. So if that sounds like you, I think the link is above. I might not have put the link in, so I'll grab the link in a second. And put it in the chat in case anybody wants to sign up for that. And then the magazine will be emailed to you, so keep a lookout for the magazine. Okay, let me check the chat. Hey, it's good to see you all here. Love the pajamas. I know, I was like, oh, I was in my tight jeans, and I was like, no, it's Friday, I need to get out of these. Good to see you all here. Because usually, you can only see my top half, but I do get up and fly around, so. Oh, hey, Kimberly. Kimberly's tuning in from Canada. Great to see you. I have really enjoyed working through this challenge. It's been so fun to participate and stirred up a lot of new ideas. Oh, good. Good. I'm so glad you feel that way. Hey, Sophie, good to see you here. Kat says, I've been inspired by seascapes and springtime on the farm. I haven't been very active this week. I'm in Keswick tomorrow. Oh, lovely. You're in a beautiful part of the world, Kat. Yeah, that world map is gonna be the last thing that comes down off the wall because, well, you can imagine it's glued. Yeah, I'm just dreading that. I'm dreading taking that down. It's gonna pull all the plaster off, I know. When I was putting it up there, I thought, "Oh, I dread the day I leave this house," and now that day has come. But it's coming with me 'cause, yeah, it costs quite a bit, that map. I'm definitely not leaving it here. Yeah, and there'll be a new wall in the new place. But, Andrew, um, put that up for me as well, so he's gonna have to put it up in the new house because it's really fiddly. Because most of those bits are individual pieces, not there are bits that are all chunked together, but a lot of it is individual. It takes a few hours to put up. So who feels let me know how you feel about your board as well. Have you got an idea of how you're gonna do your board? Are you gonna do it on a piece of paper, canvas, digital? Do you feel like you know what you're gonna put on? Do you already have a vision of what's gonna go on your board? I'd love to know. Leanne's just nipping in, only got 15 minutes. Good to see you here. Francis says, yes, Zentangles are great when you, yeah, you know, you want to do something, but you don't know what to do. Absolutely. I love Zentangles. I can't believe that I only just came across them a couple of years ago. Janine's in the naughty corner. We have a bit of a joke around those who are late joining go to the naughty corner. Oh, I haven't got my naughty corner print. It's been packed away. I was about to grab it. It's always there. One of our members, David, created an artwork which is the naughty corner, what it looks like. It's not real, but if it did exist, what it looks like is so amazing. Oh, Alicia's tuning in from Berlin. Lovely. We were just talking about Berlin with Dodo, who tuned in when we did the chat last Wednesday. I'm getting muddled up with dates. Marion's with us. Hello. I am new to sketchbooks. I don't have much to fall back on. Suggestions, please. So I think if you don't have much to go back on, it's about just moving forwards with what you do want. So I think, you know, you can do this with looking around you, using the prompts, and then recreating. So that one where we recreated in 3 different ways, I've lost the sketchbook already, is doing those kinds of exercises and taking photographs of colours, noticing it might not be colour for you. You know, you might prefer monochromatic, you might prefer monochrome and not like colour. And I guess that would be the steps for you now, is noticing. Like you can do as well, I'm just thinking I was just looking at these cards on my desk. You can do this or that as well. You know, these, let's get them the right way around. Yeah, these are really different, aren't they? You know, this one is energetic, looks like a print. It's got thick marks. And this one's delicate. And this one's bold. And so from comparing even 2 images side by side, you can start to really think, which do I like about this and which do I like about this one? If I was going to replicate one of these, which one would it be? And you can do that kind of thing in your sketchbook as you're growing more awareness around yourself and what you're drawn to, and really taking notice of those and thinking, if I am drawn to one, why? Why is it? What is it about that? I loved that exercise today of drawing the Henry Moore drawing, and I got so much from that. I just, yeah, it was really good. So I don't think you have to have much to look back on. It's just useful if you have got stuff to just bring it out. I find that I've got sketchbooks going back now decades, and I do bring all of them out sometimes, and I look back at them. In fact, I've been doing that recently because I'm moving. So, but it's great that you're starting now, because in a year's time, you're going to have your sketchbook to look back on when you've got all of this amazing exploratory work. Is exploratory a word? Exploratory, is it? Work and ideas, and you will have something to look back on. So, great question. Sheena says, yes, fascinating seeing all the elements on your board. Yeah. And then, for me, sometimes we don't understand why we make art. When I see it now on a board like this, I am really understanding. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, right, I can really see what's going on here. And I can, see all these. Now I can just see all these shapes. I've never been able to see these shapes before, but look at all these spirally shapes. A year ago, I would have said no way to spirals. I've always been, I don't know why. Yeah, it's so peculiar how now that I can see it there everywhere. And so, yeah, this is where it's really good. When you start to see things on a board like this, and you can begin to understand the recurring patterns that you're seeing. So there might be shapes that are recurring or colors that you're seeing, and that then gives you more confidence to articulate what it is that you do and what you're drawn to. It helps you start to research more. So you might have certain keywords, shapes, patterns, textures, and then once you start to see those coming through on your board, it can help you then research more or go and gather more and go a bit deeper. So like imprint for me, I didn't recognize that in my work for years. And then Sharon said the word and I was like, oh my gosh. So then I went off on this journey, Googling imprint and the word, and I looked at the definition, and then I looked at the different ways that you can imprint. And it just opened up so many doors and ideas of how I could incorporate that into my art. And it just feels so right, because I now know that that's what I've been interested in for years, but I just couldn't articulate it or see it years ago because I never used to do this. So I just kind of, I didn't do this to this extent years and years ago. So, oh, I love that. What you do via United Art Space. It is. Yeah, you're right. It is actually. That's so crazy when I think about that, because for me, yeah, for me, it's all about I want to reach people. I've always said I want to help people. And that's why for me, being in the art studio every day, as lovely as it was, there was just something missing for me. And maybe that is it. It ties in, doesn't it? To I want to leave an imprint. Full circle. It's really mind-boggling. I find that I'm a deep thinker as well. So if you're not a deep thinker, this doesn't have to be deep. It can literally just be a board of gorgeous textures. Gathering any kind of textures your thing. The whole board could be a different collection of textures. And then when you sit down to paint or collage or whatever it is that you're doing, you've got that gorgeous mix of texture that you can replicate in your own artwork. But when you then think though of texture, I just think there's all these yummy words and different relationships to that you can bring into your board as well. And I'm really excited now to take that to the pottery. I'm going to take that next week, and then I'll share on social media what's going to come from that board. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I like this stage because this is the beginning bit. And now I look at that board and I think there's going to be some artwork coming from that. And I have no idea what the artwork is going to be yet. I find that incredibly exciting. I don't know where it's going to go. And that board is the beginning. So has anyone here done Best Year Yet, which is our workshop that we do every January? Let me know in the chat if you did Best Year Yet. If you didn't do Best Year Yet, it's a workshop we do, 2-week workshop. It's a big one, where we design our own lives and we get really in tune with what we want from life and how we want to live and how we want to feel. And we start to put plans into place to make that happen and get very intentional with how we want to live. And one of the parts of that process is creating the vision board for your life. And this process is like Best Year Yet, but laser focused on your art. So it's very similar to the Best Year Yet process, where you're being very intentional about what it is that you want to create, but leaving room for spontaneity as well, and movement and evolving, because that's what it's all about. You don't want it to be too rigid. Let me see. Oh, I love this. Simon said, looking forward to watching this another episode later. My one takeaway has been go for it. Yeah, I love that, Simon. Carol says, yeah, it's lovely to start thinking about working in a series with a theme and use different approaches on that theme. Yeah, and this is perfect for working in a series. And so if anyone is new here and you don't know what I'm talking about, it's working in a series or a collection or a body of work. I'm trying to think of some other phrases that you might have come across. And it's basically creating artwork that's related in some way. So some artists just create whatever they like a portrait, and I'm going to paint this butterfly tomorrow, and then I'm just going to draw this now because I feel like it. And then there sometimes becomes a point where people want to then move towards creating something that is like a body of work. And that's what we would do at uni when we were studying art. We'd create a body of work, and it has this relationship. So all your pieces are kind of related in some way. And this is great for if you want to explore creating in collections, because everything is then born from this place. So yeah, it is lovely to start to think working in that way with a theme, because again, that it's not like you just create one and then you're like, oh, I don't know what to do now. If you can create like 3 or 4, which I'm going to be doing from this, I'm going to be creating 7 pieces from this one to begin with. And they'll all relate in some way. So, and you get kind of deep into a theme, then it gets really exciting. Jola, hello. Paying attention to what is right in front of you and finding the answers to what you do. The answers show up if you take the time to stop and look. Oh my gosh, I love that one. They do, don't they? And I just think more and more in today's world, when we are bombarded with so much, oh God. I mean, I'm running this workshop in May because I've been doing these workshops now for 7 years. But I was just looking on Instagram before I came on, and it's just noise, and there's so many people running these workshops, and it's like, gosh, something's got to change soon. I don't know what, but we need to do more of this. We need to do more of the stopping and looking and connecting, and yeah, and slowing it down. I feel like there's such a, I don't know whether it's pressure, but there just seems to be a lot of, the world is fast, isn't it? And the information around us is fast, and the need for gratification is fast. Like, we live in a society where we kind of are so used to getting everything now, and so I think adopting a slower pace through this practice of contemplating, feeling, playing, I think it's really good practice just to get through life and slow us down in all other areas of our life. Does that make sense? I think especially for me at the minute, because I have a lot going on at the moment. So yeah, we have to have a housewarming. Well, I'll be doing the May workshops in a new location. That makes me nervous because I have no idea where I'm going to be at the moment. Well, I do. I know the address, but I don't know what room in the house I'm going to be in. And but yeah, we'll have to have a virtual housewarming. I love this. Janine says, I echoes Simon's comment, go for it. That's my plan. Now I've given up my job. A way of life says, yeah, I've realized the power of taking little art steps on a daily basis. Absolutely. My sale equal Van Gogh one. I've learned both I and my art is good enough, and those who have tried to undermine me have failed. Oh, Angel, I love that one. And I love that you have learned that this week from doing this with us, because that's one thing I want you to take away is your art matters. And all of this, what we're doing here, is about you discovering what makes you tick as a creative person. It's not anybody else. This is about you. What do you notice? How are you recreating those three images? What did you notice in the media? You, not anyone else, you. And that just, I think, oh gosh, I just love it. It's about you connecting with yourself. It's the most beautiful thing that you can do. And then that board is you and you own it. And because you matter and that matters, your voice matters in this world. Everybody's voice matters. And so, and the more you connect, I think, with art in that way, the more enriching it becomes, the more, I mean, art to me just teaches me so much about how I feel, why I'm taking certain actions. It helps me pinpoint things in my life that's happened, and I go, oh. um, so, yeah, I love that you feel that way, that you are good enough, your art is good enough. Because it is. It doesn't matter what age you are, what stage you are where you are. And there's a great quote from someone, I can never remember the names to quote people, but there's a great quote that don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. Because we often do this, especially in this world on social media, where we don't really understand what's going on behind the scenes, and we see people out there and they may be creating these pieces and they've got this shop and they're doing these workshops and they're here and they're here and they're there, or just someone else who paints a dog and just looks so much better than your dog. And one of them is it's sometimes that is their chapter 20 and you are on chapter 1, and it's incomparable because they've been through possibly 20 years to get to that point of creating that dog in that way. And then there's also that perception, your perception, of that comparison to other people. You know, sometimes I've just seen this in so many, and see it in myself as well. I've been so critical of my own work over the years because of not being able to get out of my head physically, and then seeing other people and thinking, why can't I do it like that? And what I've just come to learn is because that's me. And I have spent years trying to perfect drawing perspective. Oh my gosh, I spent literally years torturing myself trying to draw perspective in a really, really accurate way. And then I just realized that is just not it's just not me. It's my brain does not work in that way. And still now I'll draw, and I've gone through years of training. I draw and I know it's the lines are going in the wrong direction, but I have this amazing ability to draw as if I'm like aerial view looking down, and I've always been that way. And now I've just like let go of it, and I just think it's me. That's me. Let's just not correct the lines anymore. That is the way my brain wants to do it, so let's do it. I'm not saying that that you can't, by the way, because I do believe as well, if you really want to do something, you practice, 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 you'll learn it. And if I was determined enough to nail perspective, I could have done. I knew eventually what I was doing wrong, and I could have corrected those lines and put them in the right at the right angles, but I just really didn't want to. So I think all of this as well is you deciding what is important to you. If painting in a really realistic way is important to you, then practice, practice, practice. Measure, use grids, throw yourself into that, and you will get there. But if you find yourself like me, trying to do things because I thought that that's what I should be able to do as an artist, and to say that I'm an artist, and now I realize that that's just not the truth. And now I just feel more accepting of the bits of my art making that I used to cringe at. I smile now because I think that's me. It's like my handwriting. That's me. And I think that's such a good place to get to. I'm not always like that, but you know, a lot of the time I try to be. And that's why I want for all of you as well is to accept those parts of yourself. And like for me now, there's some ways that I draw as well. I'm just trying to come up with an example. I just used to be really critical. I don't think I can actually articulate it, but there's a way that I draw. I can just see it's me. And if we put the stuff up on a wall with other people's, I could just spot that's mine, and I'd just be like, oh, it just looks awful compared to everyone else's. And now I don't know how I overcome this, but now I just think that's me. That is me. It's like looking at a photograph of myself and accepting. I think it's just accepting. Accepting. It's a real gift. So I'm going on a big, massive tangent here. Okay, right. Let me. Oh, I love this. Judith says, my one takeaway is I have to start a journal. I'm usually quite organized, but my inspiration ideas are all over the place on pieces of paper I cannot find now. A journal is a go forward. Yes. And put everything on a board like this, I would recommend. Because if your ideas are all over the place, if you put everything on a board, it's there. There's your board. But I love the idea of having your journal as well. And I just wish I brought all my journals down, because I've got another sketchbook somewhere as well where I actually I don't think I've got it, but I actually I either draw my artwork and I write about it as I'm making it, or I take photographs of it and I write about why I made it, or what was I thinking. You know, I'm quite analytical. You don't have to be that in depth. Again, it's you finding what works for you, but I love that part. I love reflecting on the art that I make. So I have a journal for that as well. I have a sketchbook for everything. Mark says, the one thing I've realised from these challenging videos is I've been doing some of the things but didn't realise it. I love this, like the delven shelve and trying the same pieces in different ways and mediums. That's so good. That's so good. Oh yeah, I love that, Marion. I have a board with batting on it, so I can stick fabric on it as well. Yeah, I want to put some fabric on mine. I've left a little space for some fabric. I just want to overlay. I like layers, and I really like tracing paper with, it's that imprint thing again. I prefer things through things. Yeah, so I want to kind of replicate that on the board, because I've been asking myself today, I love layers. I love things that are kind of like left on the reverse. And I've been asking how I can incorporate that into sculpting. And I don't know the answer yet, but if I put it on the board, it's there as a prompt to explore when I am making the sculpture. Does that make sense? So it's like pinpointing something that you like the look of. It could be like the tracing paper over an image, something out your sketchbook that you think, oh, that looks amazing. Just like rip it out and stick it on your board. And then when you come to make, it's asking yourself, how can I replicate that essence of that in my art through paint, through sculpting, whatever it is? And that's when you can get, you know, new, unique ideas that are completely unique to you. Oh, Julie's in the PJs too. Good. Oh no, you got a tummy upset. I'm so sad to hear that. Oh, but you're going to do your vision board tomorrow when you're up. I hope that you feel better soon, Julie. Who else is in their pajamas? Oh yeah, Mark uses Pinterest, of course. Pinterest, I do use Pinterest as well. I've got loads of boards on Pinterest. Just like my art one, I like to move it around. I like to move that in different places. So it's, which I know you can do on Pinterest, but I also like my artboard to be out. And sometimes I take the images off. If I just really want to focus on one thing, I'll take the image off and just stick the image in front of me. And it's like, right, now you're just going to focus on this. But yeah, I think Pinterest is fantastic. Joy's using card and adding new ideas as they come. Yeah, brilliant. I'm with you, a way of life, doing drawing, painting every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Absolutely. I love the canvas idea. Hi, Sophie. Lots of catching up to do. I've only managed 1 or 2 so far. We'll do the rest of the weekend. Yeah, dust off the sketchbook. Absolutely. Oh, hi Anne. Good to see you again. This challenge has been energizing. I have unearthed a chain of links from one single shadow photo I took on day two, right back to a drawing I did a few years ago. I feel like it's the beginning of a new series of drawings, a bit like a storyboard, enabling to capture the past, my emotions, the drama. Thank you. It scares me to think I might not have done Kickstart Your Art. Oh my gosh, Anne. That's amazing. Um, yeah. Do you know if there's anyone sitting here thinking, "I haven't had that?" Sometimes it just takes time. This process takes time, but stick with it because you'll be honestly surprised at the links and doors that open. You go, "Oh my gosh, did not realize that," or "Why haven't I noticed this before?" Um, yeah, spirals, they are. I know for some reason I've always avoided them, and I think it's just because um I'm like a real abstract, like scratchy, like not a spirally person. Haven't been in the past, but obviously I am now. And it's funny because imprint, works really well with the spiral because of the fossil shapes and things. It's really, yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah. Janine's with us and said, I need to work through the week sessions, but it's a new start for me. Hadn't done art for months until this week, so maybe I'll discover new inspiration. Fantastic. I'm glad you're back to it. Anne says, I think my artboard will be photos, my words, other words, sketches, old drawings. Absolutely. Sounds brilliant. It is an artwork, isn't it? I agree. I'm just going to get the a link up. 1 second. I've lost it. I was going to get the link so you can sign up for the start sending your art challenge. But I'll put it in the chat afterwards because I get too distracted because we're running out of time. I'm going to have a movie night now with my children. Lots of you did best year yet as well. Oh, wonderful. So now you're doing this version, which is going to be super great, having your best year yet and Kickstart. You've got your drive forward now. Oh my gosh, I love this. Kate said I did my first best year yet 2 years ago, and everything on that board has happened. Just shows what a bit of focus and belief can do. Absolutely. And this is the same for your art as well. It's, on this board, it's really thinking about maybe pushing it a little bit and thinking, I'd like to learn this. Anything that you want to learn as well, pop that on your board. It's a bit of a reminder as well. Oh, Lee, yeah, so many ideas, but you've helped me buckle down and create. Hoping my vision board will keep me on track. Wonderful. Oh, I can't wait to see all your boards. Please post them on social media and tag us so I can see your boards. I'd love to have a look. Oh, I love that, Anne, about the spiraling, weaving, looping. Oh, I'm gonna capture that because I do have a thing with weaving and yeah, art is an expression of the soul. Yeah, yeah, having a bird's eye view, absolutely. I am a spiral. Sorry, that laugh. I am. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm not a straight line. I'm definitely a spiral. I'm all over the place. I'm a wiggly line, I think. Oh, I love this. Jenny says, I used to think that you needed to know how to paint in order to be a proper artist. Yeah, but now I've embraced that it's just not for me. Yeah. Isn't that so liberating, isn't it? When I came into the creative industries, I just got so hung up with what I should do and who I should be, and like literally thought that I would have to draw exactly as I see something to be able to be an artist. And I realized that some people can and some people can't, and it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, Christine's in the PJs as well. Oh, Sophie, I've accelerated. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Got me back on my feet. And I've just accelerated forward this last month, both in motivation and confidence. I'm loving creating again and living and breathing it. Oh, wow. And it's all down to United Art Space. Oh, I love that. It's made me so happy. I literally can't actually smile anymore than I'm smiling. Oh, oh, I love it. Oh yeah, thank you. I'll check that out, Julie. Thank you for that. Okay. We're just wrapping up. Sorry if you've just joined. We're just wrapping up, but you'll be able to watch the replay. That's it. It's a wrap. Thank you so much. That's 7 years of United Art Space. 7 years ago, I sat out there on the decking outside. Out there. And I was like, hi, I want to set up a platform for artists. And then like 5 people joined. And now we've got 50,000. It's mind blowing. Thank you so much for being part of this week and celebrating with us. It means the world. So if you want to take part in the next event, please look in your emails. We've sent the link for the Start Selling Your Art workshop. It's really informal. I'll be sharing lots of tips with you over that 3 days. And look out for the magazine. I will send you all a copy of the magazine. It's looking fab. It's kind of 3/4 of the way finished. And that'll be out on the 1st of May. So thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll catch you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.